Can you figure out who murdered her? Her name is Jessie, and this girl named Melissa gets attacked. There are 3 people who's in suspect. The unknown guy, a guy named Randy, and the guy named Daniel. Daniel is Jessie's close friend, and these 2 other guys, the unknown guy and the guy named Randy, flirted with Jessie. Jessie, she dies, remember? And out of those 3, one of them done murdered her. Can you figure it out before the clues connect? Let's get into this story.
Oh my God.
Hartford 901, what's your emergency?
It looks like
2 guys who flirted with her made her so uncomfortable that she had to write it in her diary. But remember, out of the 3, only 1 done it. I also want to put this out. I'm going into this story blind. I don't know who done it. So when I say names, that doesn't mean that that person done it. With that being said, shout out to you for having your snacks for this video. I love you so much. With that being said, you already know what I'm about to say. Go get your snacks.
I just started off in your world.
A mother named Joy was downstairs making a sandwich while her daughter was asleep. Her name is Jessie. She wanted Jessie to wake up because one of her students was going to come in. And you know Jessie, she always have students coming in. So the mother knew that her daughter have to wake up before the student comes. The mother then hears a knock. She know that it's a student, so she goes straight to the door. She open it, she tells the student to come in. She shuts the door and she hurry up and runs upstairs to wake up Jessie. She goes in the room and she stands right over her daughter. And she noticed something very, very terrifying. She don't know what to think. She's just like, my baby. What happened? What happened to my baby? And she looks and she's like, she freeze. Okay, let me. I'm getting too into character. Okay. But this is very sad and this is very heartbreaking. She freezes and she calls 911.
Hartford 901, what's your emergency?
my daughter is blue. I went to wake her up, and I just got home for lunch, and she won't wake up.
Is she breathing?
I don't think so, no. She's got, it looks like strangulation marks.
There are strangulation marks?
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on.
So she's looking at her baby, she's flipping her over, she put a pillow under her head, she's trying to beat her chest, she's telling her baby to wake up, it's not waking up. So she's losing her mind because she cannot believe she see her daughter unalive in front of her eyes, and she's like, how could this have happened? So all of the investigators came, the police came, and they knew she was deceased, but it was a murder, a homicide. Meaning someone came in and done this to her. But how? But when? They saw the marks on her neck and the mark on her wrist. And I just cannot believe, like, y'all, this girl was, she was a sweetheart. This girl was a straight up sweetheart. She was all about changing the world. She was serious on changing the world.
Now, hey to say, I feel like a party, a full day. It feels like a party every day.
Just wait till y'all hear how this all started and how this all happened. Like, she couldn't do nothing about it. You ever heard of wrong place, wrong time, meeting the wrong people? And the sad thing is, it always happened to the good people. Let's get into it. They had to remove Jessie's family immediately out the room because now this is a crime scene. In this house, there was no signs of break-ins, no signs of forced entry, no signs of anything getting stolen, which means one of the detectives named Stalking, he knew that this was somebody she knew. He knew exactly where she was in the house, he knew exactly where she laid her head at, and she was targeted purposely. So then they asked the family, do you know anyone who may been targeting her without her knowledge? Jessie's dad then says, upstairs there's a window, and there's these tree cutters, and when you high up like that, cutting these trees, you can look straight into her room. Maybe one of these tree cutters seen that she was alone, seen that she was this beautiful young girl, and targeted her. So maybe that could be one of the reasons, or that could be somebody who needs to be questioned. So the mom then thought, and she said, yeah, there was these guys who was hitting on her at a party. It made her feel uncomfortable. It almost kind of ruined her whole day. It probably did ruin her whole day. Those two guys are questionable as well, because after that whole situation, there was something on her mind the night before she was murdered. The two guys at the party, one of them was ruled out, but he was not able to rule out another one, a guy named Randy. Remember, this story is about to get way more crazier than what you think. But isn't it crazy how a lot of people are born unfortunate? Like you? We didn't have to run across people on this earth, and all of a sudden, they wanted to target us. I did have stalkers, but like, all I'm trying to say is, you could just be living life and all of a sudden, someone wants to murder you and then proceeds to murder you. That's crazy. The detective asked him, did you have to do anything with her murder? Of course, he proceeds to say, no, I didn't have anything to do with her murder. The detective proceeds to say, where were you after the party? He said, I went straight to my apartment after the party. I didn't do anything else. But one of the detectives had something that Randy did not know about: Jessie's diary. She actually wrote some final messages that made Randy look highly suspicious. In the diary, Jessie was upset about what these two guys was doing at the party. She was saying these guys were corrupting her. She was also saying that these guys was making platonic love into a competition. And her closing line was, I am not helpless. I will recognize problems and confront them without fear. God be with me. A sweetheart writing like that only have nothing but pure in her heart. You can just tell by how she's writing. She's not your average Joe girl. She's a true definition of a sweetheart. She don't want you. She don't want you. She don't want to just go out there, meet some guy, have fun, wild out, get drunk. What? She's not doing none of that. She's not going for it. She wanted a guy who's well put together, who take care of herself, who's a gentleman, who will open the door for her. This is the type of girl she is. You can tell by someone's personality, and definitely by how she writes her sentence. Now you bums want to come to a party, make a competition of competing with her to see who can get her, and then it turns into a murder? I hope when you at that jail, somebody just pull down your... You know what? Let me stop. Alright, let's get back into the story. Now there's something important that you need to know. Thanks to this lady, Melissa. Right here is going to put the story well together, and you will see why it makes sense. Now, Melissa decided to walk her dog this one day at this park. She noticed this creepy van, this blue van. Mind you, she didn't really think anything of it. She just knew it was her and that van. So she gets out the car, she walks her dog. It's a loop, a long loop, about 30 minutes. And when she comes from this loop, she has to walk past this blue minivan to her car. So she walks into this woods, take this 30-minute loop, and she sees that this van is still there. When she first pulled up to this park, she knew that legs were sticking out of the van, so she knew someone was inside of the van. But now that she's finished this walk, she don't see the legs poking out of the car no more. Matter of fact, as she's looking into the van, she don't even know if someone's inside the van. So she lets the dog leash go, take out her keys to open the trunk of the car, and the dog runs full speed in the trunk. As she's walking, she noticed this guy is on a passenger seat, not the driver's seat, with the door wide open. She couldn't tell from the other side, and this guy made contact with her dead in the eyes as she's walking. Mind you, she's not really thinking nothing of it. She's just watching her surroundings and taking note of this in her head, which is good for her. So she just turns and keeps walking, and all of a sudden she hears footsteps running completely at her. So she turns around and the guy completely stops. Yes, he completely stops, and she's like, okay, this guy is weird. So she just and walked again, and all of a sudden she hears footsteps charging at her again. So she turns around and this guy stops again. She noticed, oh, something's not right here. It's just them two at the park. And as she looks at him for the second time, she knows that this man has a knife in his hand, and for that split second he charges her. She gets tackled, she falls on the floor, her back is turned towards him, her stomach is on the ground, about to attack her with it, but she turns around, uses all her strength to grab the knife. Her hand and everything is leaking, but she don't care. She do not care. Shout out to her for fighting back like this. And she managed to fight back so good with the knife that the guy is like shocked by it, and he said, whoa, he freeze and said, can I go? She said, no, you may not go. But the guy got up and started running and took off, hopped in the van and left.
Did you ever get a really good look at him? I know I got a good look at his clothes and his van.
You know, shout out to you for fighting back like that, Melissa! Shout out to you! Shout out to Melissa, because it's weirdos like that you have to be prepared for, especially if you didn't have mace, pepper spray, or a taser. Because if she had that, she had more than enough time to get that ready. You get them eyes, trust me, it's gonna be way better than avoiding a life or death situation. You may get hit a couple of times, but it will save your life. All you're gonna get is stitches at most. You can't see, you can't do nothing. That's why I say pepper spray over taser, because if that man got adrenaline, that taser may not do nothing. No matter how much adrenaline you have, you can't see, you can't do nothing. Melissa immediately goes to the doctors, and she got 15 stitches in her hand from fighting back how she did. And you know, she recovered from this. Everything was fine with her. And one of the detectives came in and took note of this. Now remember, there's a reason why Melissa helped connect the dots with this whole story with Jessie murder, because she had full good detailed memory about this person, what he looked like, what their car was, what kind of car he drove, what even the year the car was. She described his face really good, and the detective's jotting all of this down. He gets all of this information, the pictures, the sketches, everything, and puts it around the neighborhood, expecting someone to come forward to know information about this, which someone do. I think, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really not gonna lie to y'all, I think this whole situation played out the way it did with Melissa because of Jessie's story. I think the universe just put the Melissa situation out so that the person who done this to Jessie could get caught. But that's just me having my deep thoughts, because I know this is not the case for all murderers. Duh. Yes, I could get a little crazy sometimes with my thoughts, but me thinking about it, it kind of makes sense. Actually, a deputy came forward and he said, yes, I seen your flyers all around, and I see that same blue van parked in the same spot every day at a park. He goes forward and he says, this person was so weird that I even ran his plates just to see if anything would come up, but nothing came up, so he just brushed it off and shook it off. I can pull those plates that I ran, he's telling this to the detective, and we can see who owns that vehicle that was at the park. So the detectives call, and the guy who picks up, or the guy who phone's ring, is Daniel. And when he answered, the detective immediately told him, can you come up to the police station to answer some questions about Melissa? And listen to this. By the way, Randy, you know what? I'd like to apologize and say I'm sorry about that, even about the jail thing when I said I hope they pull down your pants. And I'm so sorry about that. I really didn't mean it. It was just rage. Daniel. So he goes. Detectives asked him, matter of fact, why is that when I call you, you was at Jessie's place? Yes, Jessie already done died. And when a detective called about this whole situation with Melissa and everything, he was actually at Jessie's place. So he left from Jessie's place to go to the police station.
He was friendly, cordial.
Where were you at again? House in Hartford, just below us. Is that the girl that just passed? Yeah, we were visiting her.
He said, I'm actually very close with Jessie. I was there and I was a part of her vigil, and she was murdered yesterday, so I was there with the family, the friends, the people, the loved ones, and we was telling stories about how she passed, and we was just there grieving. The detective noticed his hand was cut. How did you get them cuts from your hand? Remember, Melissa's situation, not Jessie's situation. We're gonna get into that soon, but Melissa's situation, because she put up that fight, remember? How did you get that cut? Well, I was at work, and you know, a screw done messed my hand up, and that's how I cut it. Alright guys, this is me editing. With all the information you have now, who you think done it? We have the tree cutters, who could have possibly seen Jessie through the window, wanted her, stalked her, maybe planned to be her student, and decided to murder her. You got Daniel, which is Jessie's best friend with the cut hand. And then we have the pool guy who flirted with her, and Jessie was so mad she had to write it in her journal. You have to answer it now. Type it in the comment section and tell me who you think done it. Do it now, pause the video. Long story short, after getting him with these good questions, he ended up not even working. So that was a lie. So the police said, actually tell us, why did you cut your hand? Because we know you wouldn't lie to us about cutting your hand at work. That does not make sense.
What happened? Just be honest. I've gone to the park before. I was sitting there. You were in your van, correct? Or your mom's van, or your kid, and you went after that girl, right?
So instead of him working, he would just drive around and sit in parks every day, so his parents could think he's at work. But no, he's not working at all. Actually, he's just chilling out, doing his own thing. So that day, Melissa ran across this guy in a creepy van that made sense why he was just sitting at a park, and that made sense why the deputy would see him at the park every day. Before the attack of Melissa and before the attack of Jessie, this guy Daniel was a good kid. Like, he loved to have fun, he loved to just do his own thing, and he was good around people. Like, everything was perfectly fine about Daniel until he just snapped and something completely changed about him, and everybody knew that he started to act different. The reason he started to act different and everyone started to notice it, like this strange behavior, is because from his search history, after the investigators were searching through his stuff, they knew that he became obsessed with murdering someone. Completely obsessed. He would search hours and hours about what to do, how to do it, all types of crimes. Like, this guy was fascinated about murder. So that's why he was acting so strange with Melissa when he stopped like that. He was just in love with it, so he just wanted to do it. Matter of fact, what makes this even much creepy, he's seen a scene. This girl was being tied up. When she was being tied up and when she got, you know, the S word around her neck, he wanted to create the same scene on Jessie. So he would watch this scene over and over and over. He wanted to perfect this scene like it was art. What the? Ladies, on our behalf, on guys' behalf, I'm so genuinely sorry that y'all get put in situations that y'all can absolutely do nothing about. Now, I'm sorry if I kind of confused y'all with this, but the Melissa situation happened first.
Okay, and how was he holding it?
So he wanted to do this scene on Melissa first and abduct her and do this crazy movie scene on her, but he couldn't because Melissa fought back. So he found another victim, which was Jessie. And here's the reason why he chose Jessie, because he needed a victim that was going to be completely helpless, a victim that wasn't going to fight back, that was just going to make it very easy for him. So when he seen her, he knew that, yes, she's going to make it very easy for me, and I know that I can go through with this sick plan. His close friend. So that's why it made sense. It played out perfect in his favor because it didn't matter if there was all alone. It was somebody who she trusted. And while he pulled this sick scene on her, the parents was at work. We don't know for sure when he came into place, if it was unlocked, if she just let him in. Regardless, it didn't matter because they was close. But we don't know if he walked in and she was asleep and he looked over her while she was asleep and just decided to go for it, or he went for it while she was awake. Regardless, he went at that home knowing she was all alone. Dang, this is crazy, huh? Crazy.
I just started off in your world. Yeah, I just started off with your bitch.